It's a beautiful evening here in the Dune Desert as we look upon the glory of the Iron Factory. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Satisfactory. I am Nick. Welcome to the channel. It is so good to have you here. I kind of wanted to finish getting everything I need to in place to open the manufacturing plant that, of course, is going to be right outside of the main doors of the Iron Factory, right out here on this ocean platform, although I'm thinking this is probably going to have to be bigger. But we'll cover that later. But I get into the Iron Factory here, and I'm calculating the amount of iron ore I'm using between both of the facilities. Of course, we're using it over there. We're using it out at the Eastern Desert platform. And of course, we're using it in the Iron Factory. But I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to be able to do everything I want to do in here. You see, every time I try to retrofit this building, every time I try to add a process into this building, it becomes a frustrating nightmare of trying to squeeze conveyors into, especially into the drop ceiling areas, where on some of these floors, especially this bottom floor, it is an unmitigated disaster to try to fit this stuff in here. And basically, like, calculating the amount of iron ore I had coming in, I still had plenty of iron ore to spare, but my iron rod calculation was a little bit off. And I was trying to figure out how to add more iron rods into the system. I only needed an extra 20 more a minute, but I also wanted to produce a ton more iron rods so I could start producing more screws, because we're going to need, you need to build computers. You need to build all that stuff that needs screws over in the manufacturing plant that I'm going to build. And so it isn't enough. So I decided to set up a drone. You can see this line of screws going up here. I decided to build a drone that was going to take care of screws. This was the old compacted coal drone right over here. So I changed that over. You can see that is now for screws, because that's where screws were going to go for the manufacturing plant. And it was just, pay no attention to that. It was just kind of getting this different stuff ready, trying to retrofit the building, trying to add in more infrastructure to make use of more of this iron ore. So you can see we've got some smelters up here. You can see we've got some of these constructors up here to build the iron rods and all this stuff, and then we were going to add a ton of constructors down the side here to make screws. And unfortunately, like I said, it is just such a frustrating, nightmarish mess to try to retrofit this building and fit more of this stuff in here that I've had it. I just can't do this anymore. I can't take this anymore, because I keep trying to retrofit this building, and I keep trying to change things inside of here to adapt to my needs. So I've made a decision. Look at the absolute mess that is this building when you strip away the floors. I mean, this is just the nightmare that I've been trying to wedge additional stuff into. And as clean as some of these parts looked, you know, and as efficient as a couple of things in this building were, the majority of this building was so wildly inefficient that I can't justify it anymore. I need to redesign and rebuild this building. I know it's going to be, ooh, just looking at all this stuff in here just is like, oh God, I got to redo all this. But, you know, I'm just not producing enough iron rods. I'm not producing enough screws. You know, we've got so much of this stuff here in overflow, and the way the overflow system is designed is nightmarish. I mean, look at this mess down here of all these conveyor, like programmable splitters, all this nonsense. Like, the way the power is run through the building is a nightmare, because I used to have these power nodes all along the walls and all along the ceilings like this. You can see this here, and then we changed the way that was done when the drop ceilings came in. Just, I'm tired of this building just getting kind of just rough, just nonsense. It just needs an overhaul. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be redone. So that's what we're going to do right now. I can only just imagine what this place is going to look like up here once all this stuff gets developed. Welcome back, everybody. So good to have you here whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching this. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you're doing amazing. I hope that you're being really kind to yourselves. We are, of course, up on top of the Iron Factory, floating around here, and oh my. Well, while we're in the respawn menu here, you can see we're going with an open air concept, I guess. In the factory, every single... Oh, that's the inside of my corpse. Every single thing in this building has been completely removed. And we are now setting about re-engineering it, redesigning it, and making it more efficient, making it better. So, unfortunately, the sad thing about this is when I respawn, I'm up on top of the building. And since all the power is off down below, the jelly pad is not online. So you can't use the jelly pad to get down. There's no other place to safely jump down from here. So this is what I found out. Because I did this earlier. I died and I was like, how the heck am I supposed to get down from here? You just got to sneak your way right over here. And just take a leap off of this. And you got to aim just so. And get sucked into I'm actually kind of glad I landed it, because that would have been embarrassing if it would have just been a whole bunch of cuts of repeated attempts of me trying to jump into it. No, there's no footage to cut to. This is where I would normally cut to that footage, but I seriously just did that. I did it. Guys, I did it. Now I feel like you guys want some attempts of me just doing it anyway, but you're not going to get them. Too bad. But yeah. Completely redesigning the entire facility from the ground up. We're going to remove the manufacturing elements from this place, and we're going to get everything constructed over here so that we are taking full use, calculated use, I should also say, of all of the iron ore that we are bringing here, not to mention the steel ingots, the concrete, and all that kind of different stuff. So, yeah, let's fast forward a lot of work later. The sun is just starting to rise up over the back of the cliffs. As you can see, some changes have definitely taken place to our iron factory. Now, this is going to unfortunately have to kind of be done in stages over the next few videos as I do the different kind of levels and implementations of this thing, because there's so much going into this building and there's so many other projects I'm working on. I kind of come to this, I go back, I come to this, I go back. But this project has been frustrating, but so rewarding, because I finally got to kind of throw away all of the nonsense here that wasn't working with this structure. And now, I mean, you can see we've done some new decorations on the outside. We've added some more aesthetic design elements to it to kind of break up the just, you know, shape of it a little bit, because the last thing we wanted to do is look like old Power Station Alpha over here, which is going to get some kind of a makeover sometime in the future. But for the central walls, you can see that I kind of just went with a basic wall. We've got catwalks on every floor, even the faux floors on the bottom there that aren't floors at all. Going across the span, we've got doors on each one of those as well. But to really kind of give you guys perspective, we got to get inside of this thing. So the real appreciation of this thing comes when you get down here on, you know, the ground floor down below it and kind of look up at it. Number one, yes, it is taller. There are now 5 floors to this building, so we had to kind of move everything up. I had to take everything off of the top and plump it up, because the way that the drop ceilings work and how big I made them, we needed to increase everything to kind of fit everything that I want to fit in here. I really want this to produce basically more iron stuff than we could ever possibly need. You can see I moved the hypertube for Power Station Alpha. It used to be over there, but I'm like, why isn't it just right over here next to the other one? That just makes way more sense to me to move it over there. We've also, as you can see, expanded our street lights and our light design and everything all the way down. The factory cart tipped over. Yeah, we've designed this and we've stretched this. I don't know why some of these are on. I got to go turn that switch off and turn it back on, or disconnect the power, reconnect it, because it's supposed to be night mode only. But when you connect these new lights in sequence, they just seem to not react to that properly. So I got to fix that. But yeah, we've expanded this all the way down here and all the way down that way as well. I just love this. I love getting more of these kind of aesthetic elements to the whole base area up here in place as we go. But we've got to head inside here so you guys can see all of the changes that have taken place inside. First of all, you're going to notice that this hallway has massively expanded. we have massively increased the amount of storage that we are going to have in here. I don't even know what's going to be in here yet, but I'm thinking that we're going to double up on a bunch of stuff. Like, we're going to have a couple of containers of, like, iron rods. We're going to have a couple of them. And iron plates. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure these were plates. We're going to have a couple of some of the more important things. So it's not necessarily that we're going to have more processes taking place in the building, but we're just going to be storing more of our kind of bulk things. So let's head up top first and foremost. You can see one thing that I got rid of. I hated the stairs. I really, really hated the stairs. So there are two different ways that you can access the different floors in the building here. Number one, there's a ladder over here kind of on the front of the building, kind of hidden away from things. One thing I really wish they would add is I wish they would add like these catwalks with a ladder hole in them. So that way you could use the catwalks and have a continuous design that goes like, because I would love to continue this flush all the way back here to the corner, or at least here. But I can't do that because there's no catwalk with a hole, so I basically have to leave a gap, and I don't want to do that either. I wrapped this one. I actually just did this because it used to terminate right here, but I kind of like that it kind of continues. At least looking at it from below, it looks better visually, I think. But we have doors leading, and I mean, even like I said, there's doors even down here, even though they literally go to nothing. But just for the design aesthetic, I decided that I had to do it. I decided that I really, really wanted to go for it. There is power running up through every single one of these vertical columns hidden by the small pillars. Every single floor. I love that. We went with the basic walls in here. Again, I just wanted this to look more plain while we have more of our busier design elements all over the place here. So yeah, every single floor except for the top floor. Obviously, there's no top floor thing up there. We have a door that we can use to get in either on the side over there or right here in the front. The ladder, unfortunately, again, same thing. I can't use this to climb up to the top without leaving a gap in the catwalk. So I'm really hoping that that's something that Coffee Stain will implement in a future update. More of these kind of decorative elements and stuff. That way I could maybe make this a little bit better. That was weird. Like the ladder wasn't rendering. That was really, really weird. But yeah, I would love to continue this. I think this would look way better if we continued it over to the side. We may even end up moving the ladder just so I can move it. Just so I can do something with it. Because I kind of want to continue those aesthetic elements down that way. You can see we have a master switch for the entire building now. So all of the power for the entire building is coming in through this switch. If we want this entire building to get terminated, boop, we can just flip the switch. Everything in the building's off right now, so it's not going to do much good to flip that anyway. But yeah, let's head upstairs because I want to show you guys what we've got in place up there and kind of give you an idea of the capacity that I'm shooting for this thing. So this is what I decided to do to get to the top floor, to get access to where the drones and the hub and everything are. Some of this might have been brought on by the fact that I died and didn't have a way to get back down. Okay, well, that's not technically true because I remembered afterward that I did have a ladder on, I think it was, yeah, it was like right on one of, like right on that one, I think. There was a ladder there that used to go up to the top floor. I completely forgot it was there. But yeah, let's head up through here. We basically just shoot up right through the drop ceilings and everything like that until we get to the drop ceiling underneath the roof. And then we zoop right along here, right on top of the conveyor belt, and whoop, bam, right out here next to the hub. So yeah, we've got a hyper tube up here. I kind of like that I laid this stuff out a little bit better. So there's one less drone port up here than there was before. I kind of spaced them out a little bit just to not make it look so packed tight up here. And I think this kind of adds every single thing that I needed to it. Just adding this little gap, like it doesn't just feel like everything's smashed and crammed up here now. I think this looks much, 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 much better. We only have 3 of the drone ports allocated right now. We have batteries, of course, over here in the corner. I kind of liked having that over there. And then we have not 1, but 2 receiving ports for raw iron. What's up, guy? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of drones circling overhead because we have all of the drones shut off at the moment. And the only production that I've kind of put into place so far, if we just land here and kind of peek in the door. Oh, baby. There are 32 smelters in this room, each one of which is capable of smelting down 30 iron ingots per minute. So we can produce 960 iron ingots per minute in this factory. So I calculated everything. We are mining, I should say, 1,800 raw iron throughout the world at 3 different iron platforms. We've got one there, we've got one out there, and we've got this one back here. You can see I did add pavilions down here for those coal deposits as well as that iron deposit. I also lengthened this thing out. I've kind of been doing a lot of tidying up, a lot of cleanup stuff. So I've been, like I said, I'll do some stuff on the iron farm and I'll go work on other stuff that needed to be done. I've also continued, you can see one of them there. I've continued the power poles all along the railroad tracks. They now go all the way around this way as well. They also follow these tracks out this way to feed power to these elements here. And I also ran power because way over here, it is somewhere over here. I want to say it's right here. It looks like right here. This is a nitrogen gas deposit. So I now, because the railroad comes down through this way right here, but there's now power running all the way over to this because we have to build a factory over there to be able to produce some different parts. I'm going to have heat sinks from the aluminum factory going there. We've got to have heavy mod frames going there. I also tore out a whole bunch of stuff out at the aluminum factory because I had initially planned on building the heavy mod frames out at the aluminum factory, but I did not calculate out my needs whatsoever. I didn't calculate out how much iron I was going to need and how much of the different things I was going to need in order to make them and in order to make enough of them for what I need. So I kind of tore it all out because I got really mad at myself, and now I've got to kind of figure out a better method of doing that. But the other thing is I don't have any iron to spare unless I set up another iron platform or unless I ship ingots from here to the aluminum factory. But that, given the size of the aluminum factory, that seems a little extra. I don't think I need to do that because I could handle smelting processes out there if I want to. I did do an expansion to the structure out there. I don't know, can I see it from here yet? That's a drone port right there. That's the aluminum factory right there. So you can almost see it from here. Oh, there's the walls. You can almost see it from here. Almost. So I made the one part where the coal factories are out there. It's much taller. You guys will see that at some point in the future when I get some more processes built and put in place out there. But yeah, like I said, we are currently mining 1,800 pieces of raw iron. We need 405 for the steel position out there. We need 405 for the steel here. So that leaves 990 left over to utilize as I see fit. So I decided, let's bring them all here. The problem is, drones can only move 9 stacks of items at a time. They literally cannot keep up with it through one. I tried to do it just through one, and that was before I only had 720 being produced here initially. Enough for one conveyor belt to support at maximum capacity. So I only had 720. I only needed 720 raw iron. One drone port could not handle it. Absolutely couldn't handle it because the landing and takeoff process takes so long that literally the whole drone port would be empty of iron before the other one would land, and they just could never ever keep up with the amount of iron that I actually needed for the system. The only thing left to do today is to perform our stress test because what I want to do, well, first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to go put a drone on that platform up top because we're going to need 2 there. There's no way that one drone is going to be able to keep up with all of that demand. So let's go beep, beep, beep. Perfect. I'm painting all the iron drones gray with that little tiny bit of blue hints in there. So this port is also going to go to the Eastern Desert, and it's just raw iron. It's just this one. It's the same as this. Yep. Okay. So yeah, now we're going to have 2, basically. So let's get our processes online here. First things first, let's turn on our iron. I'm going to add master switches in here for every major production sector. And I mean, right now, if we really wanted to, we could shut down every single one of these smelters. But no, let's turn them all on. Let's get them rocking and rolling here. And let's get up top and turn our drones on. And boom, get those drones online. this guy can take off. We've got so many guys waiting to land here. But basically, the question is, can the drone fleet keep up with demand and get this entire system flushed with raw iron? That's what I'm waiting to see, is if we can flush the entire system with raw iron. That's why we're using the awesome sinks down here to dump all of the ingots that we make for now into these 2 awesome sinks. We literally have to have 2. It's too many for 1 to handle, because the conveyor can't move that many items at once. But yeah, that's the goal here, is I want to see if the system can properly, and I mean properly, fill this whole thing up and keep up. Because, I mean, yeah, like I said, I tried to do it with 720 iron. 1 drone port with 3 drones could not keep up. It wasn't that we didn't have the capacity. It wasn't that we didn't have the iron available. But the problem is like I said, the drones, because of this landing and takeoff animation, it takes so long that it just like, this thing will empty out before the next drone lands. Like, that whole thing will empty out before the next drone lands. So yeah, I'm just really hoping. Oh, there we go. We got that guy doing that thing. So see, he just took off there, and now he's finally going to come in for a landing. But yeah, like, the animation just takes so long. And it's kind of the one thing I didn't really know about when I kind of decided that I wanted this entire world to be based on drone technology. But I've invested in it. I've made that decision. That's what I want. So I have to work around the limitations within the game in order to implement that. And you can see we're dwindling very... thank you, autosave. Good job. But you can see how fast this is dwindling out of here. And I mean, we may just get a spill of iron in there, like, just before this empties. Nope, there it goes. It emptied out. So you can see what I mean. Like, even with 3 drones feeding this same drone port, like, even if they're circling overhead, which this guy was, he was circling overhead just waiting to land for the other guy to take off. But yeah, the animation just takes forever. It literally takes forever. So what we need to do is we basically just need to have enough overflow in the system to compensate for all of this. Eventually, we may get there. So I'll see you guys at the conclusion of our stress test so we can wrap out the video here. You can see we're already making it all the way down to at least here, which is good. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. So that right there is the first time that a drone has dumped iron into a drone port when there was still iron left over from the previous process. So stress test is officially successful. You can actually see, if you look, we got 571 items a minute coming in there, 549 items a minute coming in here. That's over 1,000, and our capacity again is only 960. So again, successful stress test. I was really hoping that the drones were going to be able to keep up, and they can, which means we have nice full flush lines of raw iron going all the way back to the very back of the building here. And of course, like I said, right now we're just feeding everything into awesome sinks just to make sure this thing can handle everything, because the plan is when we get all the overflow stuff in place, none of this is ever going to stop. All this stuff is going to literally be producing all the time. The next step is we got to set up all the rest of the production processes that we are going to have in this building, so that way we can, you know, move on from there and kind of start figuring out logistically where we're going to produce things, how much of it we're going to produce, and then start sorting out how to get it to the manufacturing plant, because we're going to need so much stuff there. What I want to kind of try to do is the more stuff that we can build in the manufacturing plant, the better. The iron factory I want to be more for the iron factory kind of resources, more for like iron related things, simple lower level processes like things you build in a constructor. That's the kind of stuff I want to focus on here. Maybe some stuff in an assembler, but not too much, because I want the raw materials to be what's going over to the manufacturing plant to build the things that we need to build. But that is going to do it for this episode of Satisfactory. I haven't edited any of the other parts of this yet, but I hope I can bring this in a reasonable amount of time. But I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching, for taking the time to support this series. It means the world to me. Make sure you check out the other content on the channel, my positivity stuff. I'm going to have cooking stream highlights coming very soon. It's just trying to find the time to edit it, to be 100% honest. And make sure you follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nikolai's Kitchen. I want to get back to streaming Satisfactory over there. I just haven't yet. So that's really important to me. I definitely got to get back to that as well. May as well turn those off as well. There's not really any reason to mess around. But yeah, I'm going to get back to work and continue retrofitting and continue kind of trying to get this building all set up here. And in the next episode, I think we're going to tackle one of the two projects that I've been putting off for a very, very long time. And I don't think it's going to be this one. I think it's going to be way out there in the desert. I ran power for it. We can get to the nitrogen gas deposit. I need to set up a factory out there so that way we can start making some of the fused mod frames, because I have not upgraded and launched and gotten a tech tier unlocked. I don't know when the last episode I actually did that was. Like, once I got the last one unlocked and got tier 7 and 8 unlocked, I really haven't done much here. What I got? Yeah, I got all these ones, and then I got this one, but I still haven't touched any of these, including, of course, nuclear power, which, oh boy, so much more to do. So many more things to build in this game. Thank you so much for your amazing support, and I will see you next time.